Everyone, this week's Parsha is Parshas Vayakhel, Tavshin Pei Hey. We'll begin from the beginning of the Parsha, Perek Lamed Hey, chapter 35, Pasuk Aleph, verse 1. Vayakhel Moshe es kol hadas b'nei Yisrael v'yemer aleihem. Moshe assembled the entire assembly of the children of Israel, v'yemer aleim, and he said to them, Ela hadavarim asher tziva Hashem la'asos oisam. These are the words that Hashem commands that you do them. So first, there is the Moshe talks about keeping Shabbos, and then Moshe goes into the construction of the Mishkan. In Parshas Truma a few weeks ago, we had where Hashem tells Moshe all the details of the Mishkan, and in this week's Parsha, we have Moshe giving the Jewish people the charge to donate the materials needed, to volunteer for the construction. And then Parshas Vayakhel deals with the construction of the Mishkan and all its vessels. And next week's Parsha, Parshas Pekudei, deals with the construction, the making of the Big Day Kahuna of the priestly garments. Okay, so the fact that it says Vayakhel Moshe kol hadas b'nei Yisrael v'yemer aleihem teaches us that this Parsha, which primarily again deals with the construction of the Mishkan, was Moshe said it he said it to everyone. He assembled everyone when it came to the details of this Parsha. Not every time that Moshe gave the Jewish people, taught the Jewish people a mitzvah, or delivered a message from Hashem, did he do so assembling the entire nation together. There was a process. He would tell Aaron would tell the elders, and there was a process of people who passed it down until they taught it to the Jewish people. But it was not always, and someone can even argue and say that most of the time, it was not Moshe speaking directly to the Jewish people, but of course Moshe passing on the message of God to the Jewish people through the leaders that eventually got it down to the Jewish people. But this Parsha, the Torah is telling us, Moshe assembled the entire assembly. Everybody was together when he delivered this message. And the commentaries focus on why Moshe did it this way. Why did Moshe have to assemble everyone to deliver this message of asking the Jewish people to donate, to contribute, to volunteer, to construct the Mishkan, and how to make the Mishkan? Why did that have to be in front of everyone? So one answer you can give is that, when you're trying to, get people to contribute, you're fundraising, you're trying to get people to volunteer. So, the best way to do it is to, bring them all together, speak to them directly, inspire them directly. That's the way you get them involved. That could be an answer. But there are other answers that are given by different commentaries, and many of them follow a theme that by Moshe gathering the people together, when he told them about the Mishkan, the fact that he gathered them together, he was imparting a message to them. There was a message being imparted to them that they would take and understand based on the fact that what he's saying here is with everybody there. What do you think that message would be? Just general, nothing that you major. By having everybody come together when talking about the Mishkan, what message was Moshe imparting by bringing everyone together?
Belief to Hashem, I believe.
But why does it have to be with everyone together? So the answer is that many of the commentaries, earlier commentaries, later commentaries, say that it's a message of unity. By bringing everyone together when talking about the Mishkan, Moshe is imparting that it is very important. Unity of the Jewish people is a very important factor when it comes to the Mishkan. Now the question is how to explain that. And many commentaries explain that in different ways. And I want to share with you an explanation given by someone I mention often, Rabbi Emanuel Bernstein. He's a rabbi in Eretz Yisrael. And he gives his answer based on a fascinating concept, fascinating idea from the Vilna Gaon. And this is from the commentary of the Vilna Gaon on Shir Hashirim, on Song of one of the five Megillas, Shir Hashirim, the Song of Songs. And in his commentary on one of the verses, he talks about the Mishkan. And he starts with the pasuk, the verse that we have in Parshas Truma, when again Hashem first tells Moshe about the Mishkan. V'asu li mikdash, they, the Jewish people, shall make for me a mikdash, a sanctuary. V'shachanti b'seicham, and I will dwell in their midst. Now, many commentaries, including the Vilna Gaon, point out that it doesn't say they shall make for me a sanctuary, a holy temple, a mishkan, and I will dwell in it. But they shall make for me a mishkan, they shall make for me a mikdash, a sanctuary, and I will dwell in them. Which means, as he says, Pirish, B'Seich Yisrael. Hashem is dwelling, when we say that Hashem dwells in the Mishkan, what we really mean to say is that through the Mishkan, Hashem dwells in us. He's not dwelling in the Mishkan, but through the Mishkan, he dwells in us. Okay?
It means them?
The Jewish people, them, the people.
This is in Hebrew. What is that?
The word is, right, in Hebrew it goes, V'asu li mikdash, they, the Jewish people, shall make for me, God, mikdash sanctuary, v'shachanti, and I will dwell bisocham, in their midst. Not in it, but in them.
Okay.
That's the word. That's the word. Okay? And the fact that the Torah phrases that way means to say that the dwelling of Hashem is within the Jewish people. Kishrias hashechina haisa b'seich lev Yisrael. For the dwelling of the divine presence was in the heart, within the heart of the Jewish people. Just that they need a place where they can gather together. And what place is best for the Shekhinah to rest in the land of Israel? But they need somewhere that they can come and gather together. They need a place in Eretz Yisrael, in Israel, where they can come together. And how would all the hearts of the Jewish people become one together? Therefore Hashem commanded, again in Parshas Truma, they shall take for me a separation, they shall take for me a separation, all that their heart donates them, all that their heart moves them to give. Each one gave according to the motivation, the desire of the heart towards the Mishkan, and is there that the hearts became one.
Wow.
So what the Vilna Gaon is saying is that, it's a very deep concept, but just to get a certain level of understanding, the idea, the concept is that Hashem dwells when we have a Beis HaMikdash, when we have a holy temple, whether it be the Mishkan, whether it be the Beis HaMikdash. What we have is Hashem dwelling in the hearts of the Jewish people, in the hearts of the Jewish people, when the Jewish people's hearts are united. And a united hearts of the Jewish people is where the Shekhinah rests. And how were the hearts? And they asked, how do all the hearts become one? The answer is by each one of them donating from their heart towards the Mishkan. All the hearts became connected. They all became one.
Okay.
Now,
that's interesting.
Interesting, no?
But this is it means big. One is the idea to. This is important to build together Mishkan.
It's important to come together.
But the Mishkan is part of Mishkan. It's unite people to build it.
Now, right. That's the point. That's right.
Okay.
That's the point. The point is that when everybody involved, when everyone gives from their heart to make the Mishkan, that is what unites everybody's heart.
It means to build Mishkan more important for people than Hashem to be.
No, because with the Jewish people building the Mishkan and their hearts coming together, then Hashem's divine presence rests in them.
It's in heart.
In their hearts, within them.
Because they built Mishkan, they united.
Because they are united through the Mishkan, correct. Now, what I still think we need to add to what the Vilna Gaon is saying is that, okay, so all they had to do is once, come together, donate together, and that was enough that now they're united? That's all they had to do to unite their hearts for the Shekhinah to come there? That's all they had to do? They all their hearts united in building the Mishkan, that united their hearts, and that was it? That's all you needed to keep for their hearts to be united?
Not enough.
It would seem that it shouldn't be enough. It would seem that the starting point was that. That was the starting point. That's how they first came together. And how they continue being together? They continue being together. Their hearts continue being together when their hearts are all focused on the service of the Mishkan. When their focus and their hearts are all together in the Mishkan, in the service of the Mishkan, in the service that's done in the Mishkan to Hashem, that continues that connection of the hearts. The hearts started becoming, their hearts became connected at first by donating towards it. And then that connection, that unification of the hearts continues when they have their hearts together focused on the Mishkan. And this really, I think, and this comes out in a very interesting halacha. The Vilna Gaon alludes to it, and I'm not sure if he means what I'm about to say, but I think it works very well. And that is, what direction do we daven in? When we daven the Shemona Esrei, what direction do we daven in?
Temple.
Which direction is that? East.
Yerushalayim.
Yerushalayim.
Yes.
Meaning we are when you are located west of Israel, you daven Shemona Esrei to the east, right? If you're in Minsk, right? If you're in Minsk, right? Then which direction are going to daven in towards Eretz Yisrael? South, I guess, right? And if you're in South Africa and you're Johannesburg and you're going to daven towards Eretz Yisrael, what direction are you facing? North. And that's what the Gemara says. The Talmud in Brachas, this is on Daf Lamed Amud Aleph, 30a. Nimtza Oimid b'Mizrach Machshav Panav l'Mayrav. One standing on the east turns towards the west. B'Mayrav Machshav Panav l'Mizrach. If you're standing in the west, you turn towards the east. B'Adarim in the south, Machshav Panav l'Tzafayin. You turn towards the north. B'Tzafayin in the north, Machshav Panav l'Adarim. You turn towards the south. Wherever you are, you're going to be facing towards Eretz Yisrael. Because Eretz Yisrael is where Yerushalayim is. Yerushalayim was where the Beis Hamikdash was, the place of the Holy of Holies, and that's what we're focusing our prayers towards. This is wrong.
This is wrong.
This is wrong. That's right.
This is right.
Right. Okay. We don't have to say this publicly on the shit.
But then
It's wrong. It's wrong. It happens. It's not the first place that they constructed the shul in a way that it was wrong. Nimtzu kol Yisrael machat. Now, so after saying this, you're from the east, you go to the west, you turn towards the west, you west toward the east, if you're in the south, turn toward the north towards the south, and then the Gemara says, Nimtzu kol Yisrael machavdin aslimim lamakim echad. And it comes out that all of Israel focused their hearts to one place. That's where the Gemara ends. Now you have all of Israel focusing their hearts to one place. Now that's obvious, right? That's the point.
Okay.
That's the point. But the Gemara ends up saying, now it comes out that all the hearts of Israel are focused on one place. To me, why does it have to say that? What's the point of what it's trying to say? It's obvious. We know that. We know that everybody's focusing towards one place, which is part of the discussion of the Gemara before too. I think the answer is because it's stressing the point of the Vilna Gaon. We all think, right, that we're all facing towards the same direction because we want our prayers to go in the same direction, in the direction of Israel. The point is to get our prayers towards Israel. The Vilna Gaon tells us, and according to the Vilna Gaon, it's more than just that. It's more than just everybody getting their prayers towards Israel. But rather, when all our hearts are focused towards Israel, then all our hearts are united around Eretz Yisrael and where the Beis Hamikdash was. And now that unifies our hearts. And when our hearts are unified, we're closer to Hashem. Just as the Vilna Gaon said. The Vilna Gaon said, when our hearts are unified, the divine presence rests in our hearts. Well, we don't have the Beis Hamikdash now, so it's harder to get. We don't have that same level of Hashem's divine presence resting in us because we don't have that same focal point. But to some degree, when we all daven in that direction, and again, now our hearts become united together around that place. Our hearts in prayer become united to one place, to the place that everyone's hearts were to be united when there was a Mishkan, when there was a Beis Hamikdash. That unification of our hearts brings the divine presence closer to us and helps our prayers now be answered.
Even without
the actual Beis Hamikdash, right? Even without it. But the fact that now again we have that unification around that place where the divine presence was, where it brought us divine presence at the most. And as Rambam, as I think, I don't know if there's the wording of the Rambam, but that area of the Kodesh HaKadosh, where the Holy of Holies, is still a holy area. Still a holy area.
Where?
In Jerusalem, where the Holy of Holies was. You know where the mosque is?
Is it up?
Yeah. And the mosque is over that area.
Yeah.
Okay. That's still holy. It's a lot of sanctity to it. So the point is there's still something there. So when we are focused again, when our hearts are focused, are united together around that one place, that one holy place as it always was, again, that brings us closer to Hashem. So this is Tana Rabbi Bernstein said, now we understand what was the message, or we can now again give another layer, another explanation as to what Moshe was imparting when he assembled the Jewish people together. When he assembled them together, the message was, you need to be unified around this. When you do this, when you construct a Mishkan, the point here is the point here is for you to be unified. You need to be unified around this project. You need to be unified, your hearts to be unified in donating towards the Mishkan. Your hearts need to be unified when you are praying and focusing on serving Hashem in the Mishkan. And it's that unification of your hearts that brings about that the Shekhinah now rests in your midst. So Moshe gathered them together because he wanted to right away make them understand that everything about the Mishkan is about you're coming together as one. And that's how you have V'shachanti b'seicham, I shall dwell in their midst, in the hearts of the Jewish people. Okay, let's move. Yeah.
But look, this story is not enough to unite. It's need to have.
Yeah, I mean, we always listen. The goal. We're supposed to have a Beis Hamikdash. With everything else, we're supposed to have a Beis Hamikdash.
Torah gives above to us.
Yes.
We do something else to build the Mishkan. It means to direction to be together.
In that manner. Of course, we have to be together in other manners too. Okay. But there's something special and unique about that being together that brings the Shekhinah. When you talk about Shekhinah, there's a lot of different levels of that. A lot of different ways there's a lot of different levels of how the Shekhinah rests amongst the Jewish people. And through the unification around the Beis Hamikdash, that was seemingly the highest level. All right, let's now move on.
No, this is not message yet.
No, we're not done yet. Not done yet. Still got a few minutes. Okay. Let's now move on to Pasuk Chaf Aleph, verse 21.
The same chapter?
Yeah. Perek Lamed Hey, chapter 35, Pasuk Chaf Aleph, verse 21. Vayavayu kol ish asher nesa'oli boi. Now here is where the Torah begins describing how the people came forth to donate, to contribute the materials, and to volunteer. Vayavayu kol ish asher nesa'oli boi. Every man whose heart, I'm just going to translate it literally, whose heart lifted him. And everyone whose spirit, his spirit was generous. The way they trained everyone who was generous of spirit. Everyone who was generous of spirit moved him, brought the portion. Okay, so again, anyone that his ruach, his spirit, donated him, meaning motivated him to give. They brought the separation of God for the construction, for the work of the Oil Moed, and for all its work, and for all the holy garments. Okay, so we have in Pasuk Chav Aleph 2 descriptions of the people who donated, who came forth. You have Kol Ish every person that his heart lifted him. I'm using the literal translation. And everyone that his spirit donated him, that his spirit generously moved him. They brought the contributions. So what are these 2 descriptions? What are these 2 descriptions of the person whose heart lifted him and the person whose spirit donated him, moved him? So we start with the Ramban, famous Ramban. The Ramban explains that the first phrase, that his heart lifted him, refers to the people who volunteered to be part of the actual construction. Who made the Mishkan? Who built the Mishkan? Who made the clothing? The people. They were volunteers. These were people who came forth. Those people who volunteered for the making of everything, they're described as the people that his heart lifted him. And the second phrase of his spirit donated is talking about those who contributed. So why does the first description, what's the connection between the first description of his heart lifted him? What kind of connection is that? Why is that the word used to describe those that volunteered for the construction? So the Ramban says, because when it came to the actual construction of the Mishkan, there was no one amongst them, says the Ramban, that were trained in this kind of craft. As slaves, you're talking about here, you needed very fine carpentry. You needed this kind of certain kind of building skills and architectural skills and fine craft skills, woodworking and things like that. These were the things that they needed. And says the Ramban, they were not trained in that. No one ever trained them to do it. And they never actually had any kind of experience with it. These kinds of things were not needed. When you made bricks, and you, I guess, built pyramids, you didn't necessarily need these kinds of craftsmanship. So none of them really knew how to do this or had any experience in doing it. But rather, says the Ramban, but all these people who came forth felt that they had it in them. They never did it, but they felt that they had it in them. And once they felt that they had it in them, this is a verse that the Ramban uses to say, he lifted his heart in the ways of Hashem. That means he felt he could do it, and therefore now he decided that he's going to, become brave and confident in order to serve Hashem. To come from Moshe and to say to him, I will do whatever my master says. They had no training. But if you felt that you had it, you basically said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be confident. I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to be confident that I can do what Hashem wants me to do. And they came forth and did it. So the phrase Nisa'ai Libai, that his heart lifted him, means to say that his heart lifted him. His heart made him feel capable, made him feel confident, made him feel, I'm going to do this. That is what this phrase means in this context. And that's what Ramban says. Nisa'ai Libai were those who volunteered to construct. And then the ones that donated were Nadva Ruchai. Their hearts, their spirit donated. That's the Ramban's explanation. The Orach Chaim, commentary of Orach Chaim, has a little bit of a different explanation, but it's and there's an interesting punchline to this. So he says Nisa'ai Libai actually means Nisa'ai Libai actually means like this. Some people are able, some people, actually, okay, there are some people who donate according to what they can afford. I can afford this, and I'm going to give it. And there are some people who can afford to give, and they don't give either, or don't give what they can give. But you have people that donate what they can. Then you have people who donate beyond what they can. They want so much to give that they even give more than they should really give. They can do more than they can afford. But they do it anyway because they want to participate. They want to give towards it. So therefore, says the Arachayim, Kol Asher Nisa'oi Libai, who lifted up his heart, refers to the people who give more than they can. And their heart lifts them means the heart lifts them up. The heart makes them say, oh, I'm rich enough for this. They make them feel wealthier or richer than they really are because they want to give more. So Nisa'oi Libai are those who give more than they can. And the heart lifts them means the heart lifts them up, puts them on a, so to speak, on a higher level than they really are, but they want to act that way because they want to give. And Nadva Ruchai, his spirit donated means his spirit. That means he's not creating any difficulty for himself in doing it. It's something that he's comfortable with because that's what he can afford. That's what he does. So the first description is the higher level, the one who lifts his heart, who gives more even than he can afford. And that person, and the Torah calls that person, Kol Ish Asher Nisa'oi Libai. Every Ish means a person. But we find that when the Torah uses the word Ish for a person, that means that's a word used for a significant person, an important person. The person who's Nisa'oi Libai is called Ish. And then the other person who gives according to what he can, he was called Vayakhel, that's Vayakhel Asher Nisa'oi Libai. And anyone whose heart lifted him. Anybody that his spirit donated. Okay, they gave what they can, but they're not called Ish. But says the Arachayim, there are only two types of people described here. You had the people whose heart lifted them, you had the people whose spirit donated, you had the people that gave more than they could, and the people that gave what they could. But there's no description of anybody who could have given more and gave less. Because these were the two groups of the Jewish people volunteering and contributing. You either gave more you can, or you gave what you can. But there's no one who did less than that.
But in this case, there is no anybody, his second opinion, who actually participate in construction.
Well, we know later on it talks about those who did.
But this Ramban says
no, that according to him, that's not going on that. It's not going on that. The truth is, if you look at the wording of the psukim, the wording of the psukim are more focused on the contributions at this point. The Ramban said it's also talking about the volunteers. Okay, before we sign off, I just want to make an announcement, and that is that we are in the middle of our annual fundraiser. From now until tomorrow at midnight, all donations will be tripled at charity.com/BIM. Please click the link in the video description below to donate. Tizkal Mitzvahs. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful evening.